Welcome back, everybody, to a summer edition of the Marinakis Football Group Roundtable. I'm Adi from Thidos International, and I am joined once again here by Matt Davis from Forest Focus and Joao from Reich Duav. We're here to give you guys the latest and greatest with the group, talk about the current events going on at each of our clubs, plus the transfer situation, and then, of course, some of the news about the administrative changes at the top of the football group. First and foremost, guys, Joao, Matt, how are you boys doing today?
Hi.
Good to be back with you. The weather, well, can't complain to the weather about guys who used to hot countries. It's been so hot over here, it's ridiculous, but it's cooled down today. So English people cannot deal with heat, but it's better now, thankfully.
I,
It's actually been kind of cool down here, rainy, really rainy where I am.
I live from 3 minutes to the beach, so in the beach is a fantastic afternoon.
I did not know you
Well,
lived 3 minutes from the beach. I'm
That's
so
30
jealous.
degrees.
where I live is the furthest place in the country from the sea on the map, statistically. So I'm very jealous. Certainly, I live nowhere near the beach.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near the beach either, my friend. I'm 3 hours away, I think, from the closest one, 2.5 hours. So I'm looking at concrete jungle and grass all day. But moving on from that, talking about football related matters, before we start talking about the current events of each club and talking about what's going on in the group, don't forget everybody that's tuning in here, like, subscribe, follow every single one of the channels here. We are Thidos International. We cover all things Olympiacos. Matt Davis is Forest Focus. You can find him, of course, on YouTube, all over socials. He covers Nottingham Forest. And you can find Joao and his collaborators on the Facebook page Reich Duav. Great coverage about Rio Ave. They just did a wonderful piece where they were talking about all the lawsuits going on at Rio Ave, which I'm sure is something Joao will talk to us about very briefly. But let's begin, as we always do, kind of talking about what is going on right now with the clubs. Last month, we talked about kind of how the season was ending. And for Olympiacos, as everybody knows, was very disappointing. We ended up in second place. We still at least have a chance for Champions League. The fan base is, I guess they're getting maybe a little bit more positive minded, but it's been all complaints in June because we didn't move. We haven't moved very quickly. We've officially only made, as of today, I should say, I think 3 signings officially, or I guess 4 if you count the renewal. So we brought in our old captain, Costas Fortunis is back from Saudi Arabia, 33 years old. We brought in Pablo Maffeo from Mallorca, the right back. And we just announced David Carmo. He's now back from Nottingham Forest. I don't think that deal will, quote unquote, be finalized until July 1st because of the finances. So we'll see. But we have David Carmo, and he's back on a permanent basis, it looks like. Then we have some youth, and then we renewed an older veteran that nobody seems to want, Danny Garcia, but that's a Mendeleev choice. So right now there's mixed emotions, but we do have a couple of other names that are supposed to be coming in. And I think once they sign, people will start feeling a little bit better. But Panathinaikos has made a lot of signings, and a lot of people are looking at them and saying they're getting business done early. We're not. And that's kind of upset, I think, a lot of fans who have already been nervous about how we underperformed last season. Matt, tell us kind of the current state of things over at Forest. I know you guys must be right now on cloud 9 or feeling pretty good after that massive sale to Manchester City for Elliot Anderson.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit like the calm before the storm here because Anderson hasn't been announced yet, and I think we might be dragging it out just for the same thing, get it into July for different accounting. Carmo hasn't been mentioned here at all either, so I think it'll be the same thing as you say on the 1st of July. I guess that will happen, and then we've got 116 million pounds to spend. So how do we spend it? Who do we spend it on? And when do we spend it? It's got Forest fans excited and debating quite a few things. We're linked with a lot of Premier League players. Now we've got money to spend like Curtis Jones, Bergval at Spurs, Hinshelwood at Brighton, who are all good young to mid-20s players, and then other options abroad. But yeah, it's kind of a summer where we don't rebuild our team, but we hopefully strengthen it. So 4 or 5 really good transfers for us is the target. We haven't made any yet, but you would hope that Forest are doing all the hard work behind the scenes that can take us from, we've had 3 relegation battles out of 4 and 1 brilliant season to kind of not worry about relegation next season and push for Europe again is the plan. So I guess it all depends on what the recruitment guys do this summer and how we start next season with Vitor Pereira still in charge.
Joao, what's the state of things over at Rio Ave?
The summer is being some in certain ways strange because 3 or 4 players are leaving, but no one is coming. Until now, there is no new player to the team, so only 3 or 4 not first choices players that are leaving the club. The 2 only Portuguese players we have are leaving. Now we have not any Portuguese player in the team, but this is only a lateral question. So we are waiting. The essential of the team will be the same. There is between 18 and 20 players that remain from the last season. So we need 7, maybe 6, 7 new players. I think they will come, but maybe they are waiting to choose the best players with the less money. I don't know, but with the leaving of Matteo Tognozzi, he was our sportive director. Maybe the things complicated a bit because he was the man with the files, and now we don't know exactly who is in charge. As you know, I repeat it several times. We have here a problem of who is in charge because. Now you are going to talk about it later. Lina Souloukou was the real CEO of the Rio Ave, but with her departures, now maybe there is some feelings of who is in charge.
There's never with any of our clubs, right? The hierarchy is never super clear.
Yes.
It's the same with Olympiacos. Like we know the names of the positions, right? Like for us, we know it's at the moment it's like Karapapas is Kostas Karapapas is like the general manager / CEO of the club. We have a sporting director who kind of isn't, the role he fills is not exactly what a sporting director is. You know what I mean? And then it's the same at Rio Ave. Like you have all these names for positions. Forest has all these directors, and half of them you don't know what they actually do for the club.
Yes.
So
I agree. Totally agree with you. We have also here a technical director, a sporting director, but exactly what they do, we don't know.
Right. It's the roles have kind of always like, and I guess there's like a lot of overlap. Like people kind of do certain things, they grow into certain roles. That's always been the case, and that organization just seems to spread. No matter what club joins the quote unquote group, that seems to be the organizational structure. Kind of seems to blend into everybody.
Yes.
Now, with regards to the transfer situations, it's funny because Olympiacos fans, as I mentioned before, have been out of their mind, pissed off and upset. We lost the title. We've won 1 title in 4 seasons, which for Olympiacos is unacceptable. We win. This is a club that wins 9 or 10 in a row. People are they're used to winning all the time. So the fact that we've now lost 3 out of 4 titles in the last 4 years, people are upset and they wanted to see more movement in June. And I think the fact that all of the clubs in the group have not really made a lot of moves. I think we've made 2. One move which surprised me, I didn't expect us to spend a fee on Pablo Maffeo, but traditionally, for Olympiacos at least, I went back the last 5 years and we kind of showed in each month how much business gets done. And I don't know if this is the case for Rio Ave or Forest in the past 5 years, but for Olympiacos, the last 5 years, we don't make signings in June. We made 2 signings this summer, which is more than we've ever done in the last 5 years, and we had 1 signing last summer. But then you go back, nothing in the month of June. So I don't know if it's the case for you guys, but that's how the situation here. Where we get busy is July. July, we do a lot of business. And August, I thought August we did our most. I was wrong. September, we do probably the most business, which is funny because it's like right to the end of the deadline, the transfer deadline. We seem to do our most high profile business. I don't know how it is for you guys. Joao, how much business does Rio Ave normally do in June? Even you can include pre-Marinakis.
Uh, uh, it depends if you have a clear basis of the team. We have, so we must wait these 6 or 7 or 8 new names. Not now. Maybe in end of July, August, because they. Sotiris Siladopoulos will begin with this 20. We'll make the team with these 20, and we'll add some extra guys to this 20. So this is not this season will be atypical, not normal, because in several years I think is the first time we have a standard team. You have a basis of 20 clear players. So now the question is, who is coming to head to this 20?
So, how many more transfers are you expecting? We'll say for the rest of the summer. I know for Olympiacos, we've made 2, 3, I guess, if you include David Carmo. We're about to sign a goalkeeper, Popovic, but we're still expecting anywhere between 6 to 8 more signings throughout the summer.
I will say 6 to 8 also here.
6 to 8, okay.
Because we have 20 players, so with 6 to 8, we'll stand with the 28 players. That is the normal situation in Portugal. All the teams has between 27, 26, 28 players.
Matt, how about you guys? I know you mentioned like 5. You said like 5 big signings, but how many signings do you think Forest are going to make? How many do you need this summer to build on what you did last summer or last season? We'll say.
I think we need. We need 4 to strengthen the team. I would say, or 3 perhaps. We obviously need at least 1 midfielder to replace Anderson. And we're in this weird position where we've got good players, but some of them might need replacing, but we don't really know if they need replacing. So Chris Wood is really good, but he's coming off an injury that needs managing, and he's 34. So I think we need to buy a striker, even though we've got 4 strikers. We need to really invest there. We might need a winger. We spent a lot of money last season on Ndoye, Bakwa, McAtee, Hutchinson. They could all come good. They could all not come good. So we don't know about them. And I think Oleraina has been really good for us, but he's picked up a couple of injuries and the backups aren't really on his level. So I definitely think we need a fullback. And our goalkeeping situation is a bit weird. The backup, two of the backups have gone. We had 4 keepers anyway, and which is too many. So at least 3 might go. And Sells, who's the first choice, there's some interest in him, but Forest want to keep him. So we probably need 4, but being Forest will probably buy 10 or something, because we always buy 10 to 15. And it's probably this is the same for you guys. And when they come, is normally we'll sign a couple in July, normally before pre-season. And I think the way the club do it is they tend to wait to see if any good options emerge really late in the window. Like, say, Chelsea might sell someone and then the chance becomes available. Like we signed Callum Hudson-Odoi on deadline day. So maybe 3 or 4 deals like that. But Yeah, our situation's a bit weird as well from what you guys were saying about the structure of the club, which I'm sure we'll come on to. It's really up in the air at Forest, it feels like. Like George Sirianos is global technical director, but it seems he's in charge of our transfers. Ross Wilson's gone, so we've got no sporting director that we know of. The guy who was Ross's deputy, Craig Mulholland's gone, and then Lina Souloukou's gone as well. So that's just as big a thing that might impact us as well this season. And Vitor Pereira was supposed to sign a new contract, but that's kind of stalled. So we probably need to start the season well to avoid speculation there. So it feels like you can say this every season about all our clubs, but it feels like a really big summer for Forest. It's just getting started, I think.
Yeah, it really, I think I would say that for like the group, right? Because there's been rumblings about, at least as far as like the transfer, forget the players that have actually come in. With the players that we've been linked to a lot of older veteran Spanish players, and it's upset a lot of people because our youth have been getting shafted. And then the Greek Cup, the Greek League decided to implement a new rule this year where they decided that in the Greek Cup, you must always have 2 under 21 players from start of the game until the end of the game. So you always have to have 2 under 21 players on the field at all times. So now it's forced Mendilibar to rethink. We're now bringing, I think, 6 academy kids to preseason, which is more than I've ever seen us bring to preseason. Plus, we could still bring 1 or 2 more. We might recall one of the loans that we did. So we'll see how that works out, but it's forced a little bit of a rethink. But we still, with the sales, some players that we're expecting to sell, I know we're going to have probably at least another 6 to 7 signings, maybe even more, depending on who leaves. So I think within the group, we're looking almost 20, like 20 signings within the 3 teams, at least, which is crazy. It's going to be a very busy for all of us, I think, after the reporting period's over, which is June 30th. Come July 1st, I think we're going to see for all 3 clubs signings, no matter where they're coming from. If it's Forest to us or us to Rio Ave, we're aware of a player that is going to Rio Ave. It sounded like he didn't want to go initially, but now I don't think he had any offers, so he's going. Diogo Nascimento. I think he'll do very well for Rio Ave. And then I'm sure we're going to get a player from Forest, excluding David Carmo. So there's going to be business coming, and I think a lot of it will get done in July. That seems to be how the group works. It just in general, they love the last minute deals, right? Like, and we've heard, like, I know Carapapas has told us the best deals come at the end of the window. So if he's telling us that, I know for sure that's how it's being viewed for you guys. That's how it's being viewed for Rio Ave. So the longer the window goes, the more likely the bigger signings will come towards the end of the window. Now, transfer wise, any other quick mentions? Joao, any other quick mentions about transfers for Rio Ave?
We must wait.
I think that's going to be the game. I think we'll have a lot more to talk about on this aspect in July. Obviously, Matt, you already kind of briefly talked about one of the bigger things going on, which is like kind of how the alignment in direction and the alignment in the hierarchy of the group has changed. Tognozzi, the former sporting director of Rio Ave, has been reported to be now the global general director. So we have the global technical director in George Sirianos. We have the global general director in Tognozzi, and Lina Souloukou has left again. So she was part of the group, left. She was doing work at Roma. Then she was at the European Club Association. Then she came back. Now she's left again. Francois Modesto looks like he might be leaving Juventus after being there. I don't even think he was there a full year. He could be leaving Juventus, and now there's been a lot of talk that he could return to the fold at the group. Perhaps there was some rumors in Greece that he could become the new group CEO, taking the place of Edu Gaspar. Our sources have said that's probably not going to happen, but there's just a lot of discussion about what's going on now with the group. How is the hierarchy going to adjust? We tried with Edu. It was pretty much a disaster on all fronts. I don't think a single one of our clubs had a good summer transfer window. work had to be done in January, whether it was with coaches or players. With Rio Ave, you guys got a lot of new players. It seemed to turn your season around. New coach Vitor Pereira with Forest turned you guys around. With us, we ended up, losing the title. So, how do you guys see some of these moves? Are you feeling optimistic, or do you feel like we're just going to see more of the same no matter who is in charge of the group? Let's start with you, Matt.
I don't know what the word is. I don't know if it's not optimistic. It's all a bit distant. So I don't really care who's doing which job, as long as they're good at the job. And at the moment, it doesn't seem like anyone's doing the job, unless I'm wrong. So a lot of Forest feels like it's George Sirianos for transfers, and we don't kind of know who's doing the rest of it. But everything just seems to be getting done. So yeah, they do need to. They've got to make appointments, and then they've got to be competent people. But then it always feels like there's churn, and then there's someone. That's the thing. The structure is always quite fluid. It's never that set. It felt like Ross Wilson was the one who was doing a really good job. Lina Souloukou, my pronunciation is terrible compared to yours, Ari. Sorry. It felt like she was doing a good job and seemed quite well respected. So we're going to need to replace them quickly, but I think the majority of Forest fans don't really know or care as long as the team's winning. And last season we weren't, and if we get back to that, it will all be good again. But the Edu thing was a bit of a mess, and Modesto sort of dabbled with Forest a bit before. And I don't know how well or how badly it really went, but I don't think I'd be overly keen to have another global CEO personally. I just think, or not a hands-on one like Edu was, someone who actually is a CEO. I don't really know what Edu was, but it's all a bit messy and it needs addressing. But I don't really want to go, I'm really excited or I'm really down on it without knowing what's really happening, I'd say.
Joao?
I think the leaving of Lina Souloukou is in a certain way is worrying, because I know she's not a nice person. She's very famous for his is not sympathetic. I think the Olympiacos members, the supporters don't like. And the Rome, I don't know.
Ruthless. I think the term that has been described to her, like
okay,
people have described her, as ruthless.
It's ruthless. Thank you. But at least we know who was in charge, because she I have this information here in Vilocon in Portugal. She was in permanent contact with Mr. Marinakis. So it is important. The most important here is to know who is the person in charge, and she has the power. And now we don't know who has the power. She was not replaced because she was in a very important position, and that position was not fulfilled. So who is now doing the job of Lina Souloukou? I think this is worrying, because she was a very important person in the structure of the multi club. And as you said, Harry, and I think we all agree, there is a lot of names and a lot of people, but who is doing what? And at least with Lina, we know she has the power. She picked up the phone and she convinced Marinakis to do something. Now this place is empty. In Rio Ave, she will be replaced by an architect from Nottingham. Mr. Constantino, I don't know.
Hatzimanolis.
Please repeat.
Hatzimanolis.
Hatzimanolis. He's I think maybe he's a nice person, a fantastic guy, but she's an architect. He's doing works for Nottingham and I don't know, Rio Ave, new stand for the Rio Ave Stadium. But at least Lina has the power, and we don't know who now who has the power. And a last question: why no one can last 1 year, 6 months? This is everyone is leaving and arriving and leaving. 1 year, 1 year is an eternity in this football Marinakis group. The person who can handle 1 year in the position deserves a medal for that.
You know, I think if you ask Olympiacos fans, we have more or less the same people in our admin since Marinakis came. Like Kostas Karapapas has been around since forever. Christian Karebe has been around since forever.
Not
You know
now.
what I mean? We have people that have been around
Not for us.
forever.
Not for us.
Let me ask you guys, because I've been seeing a lot more, especially when we interact with the different fan bases. There's been a lot more. It feels like more animosity. I know for Olympiacos fans, I've discussed with you guys before. There's this with a large part of the fan base. I don't know if it's the majority, but it's a lot that are in our mentions, that they think that Marinakis pays more attention to Forest because it's the Premier League, blah blah blah. So they have this this kind of pent up, I'll say, maybe it's jealousy, maybe it's anger, what have you, towards Forest. I've been seeing a lot of Forest fans that have been interacting with us upset that they seem to foot the bill for players that come to us and that never work out for Forest, kind of like David Carmo. We've been told Forest will take a loss on him to send him to us. And then, of course, Rio Ave, there's Rio Ave fans that have interacted with us that are upset that Clayton and Andre Luiz even left. They would have preferred that they just stayed in Rio Ave than come to Olympiacos and not even play, for example. So my question to you guys is, kind of given that a lot of people are frustrated with, I'll say, the lack of synergy between the group, would you guys want to see more movement of player assets between the club? Matt, we just sold our right back, Costinha, to Brighton for about 13 million euros total package. You talked about Ola Aina. Your backups really aren't at his level, right? Would it have been a nice move to see, like, okay, hey, Costinha is a Premier League ready fullback, great crossing, amazing physical attributes. This guy can play in the Premier League, and that's why a data analytic heavy team like Brighton was interested in him. Is this a move that you would have normally liked to see? Hey, okay, they made the offer 13 million under PSR rules. We can match that offer or offer a little bit better and get him for ourselves. Would you have liked to see that? Do you believe maybe that would have been the case, maybe without some financial, maybe the Elliot Anderson sale needs to happen first, but would you like to see something like that happening?
Oh, I don't think the Elliot Anderson sale needed to happen. So I would hope that if, like you say, the data shows this guy is Premier League ready, and if Brighton are signing him, then I assume he is. So yeah, it's interesting. The other player who went to Brighton, I could see why we didn't sign him, because it was like 35 million or 40
For
million.
Costulas, yeah.
Yeah. If this guy's 13 million, then I would assume Forest might have someone else lined up. I don't know. But the thing about the transfer deals between Olympiacos and what you were saying there is, yeah, I think it feels like we are, in the last few years now, we're in the Premier League financing your signings a couple of times. But when you dig a little deeper into the Carmo deal, if we took a loss, it's pretty small because he spent 2 years on loan, and then we're selling him to you for between 7 and 12 million euros. I've read. You'll know the fee more than I do, so I don't sort of mind that. I think we just shrug our shoulders at it a bit, and we sign a player, and you can almost tell straight away that guy's never going to play for us. And Carmo felt like maybe he was slightly different because he'd done well at Porto. But I'm not surprised. I'm not overly fussed about it. I think, yeah, for us to get the best end of the deal is we would sign your best players, which Olympiacos fans would hate. If we'd bought the two guys who've gone to Brighton, Olympiacos fans would be fuming, and maybe that's why they didn't sell him to us. Maybe it's partly PR. I don't know. If Forest could think we can get decent alternatives at the moment, I suppose we're at the top of the financial pecking tree just by virtue of being in the Premier League, and I can see why that would annoy fans, because when we were in the Championship, you guys were the apple of Marinakis's eye, really, and deep down Olympiacos still are, because he's Olympiacos through and through. But financially, from a business point of view, I guess Forest are. So I can see why that would annoy fans. But I kind of shrug my shoulders a bit at the transfer things between the clubs now, because we're not getting a huge amount out of it. Interested to see who goes from us to you. Maybe there's a player that could really help you guys this summer, if it's one of our actual players that makes a move that's played for us. But
Jota Silva's been linked.
Which one?
Jota Silva. He was at Besiktas on loan.
Jota.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think the Olympiacos fans would like him. He's a hard worker. He's not the most gifted player, but he did well for us in his first season without being amazing, having had a good season or two in Portugal with Vitor Guimarães, I think. Jean might remember more than me. Yeah, I mean, he'd be good, but he's not a game-changing player for you. He's not someone who's going to win you the Greek league, or I don't think. He's another guy who'll work hard and put a shift in, but he's not a transformative player. So yeah, it can be a bit frustrating. I can see why Olympiacos fans would be annoyed a bit, but they'd like him if you got him.
And Joao, what about you? Would you like to see more movement? I know you've had mixed results with Olympiacos players, right? Like, Vrusai and Doi have turned out pretty good for you.
Yes.
Others maybe have not turned out so well, like Papa Canelos or Athanasio when he was there.
Yes.
But Diogo Nascimento, it looks like he's headed your way. I think he would be a great addition. Would you like to see more of that? More, maybe more Rio Ave players coming to Olympiacos that actually will play? Vice versa? How would you like to see the pipeline?
I will not say nothing surprising, but we'll like to receive good players, and if the players came from Olympiacos or Nottingham Forest, fantastic. But until now, with the exception of Vrosai, and now Ndoi he was in the national team of Greece. It was a very surprise for us. The transfers and the loans are not very, very good for us. You have the most expensive player in the history of Rio Ave, Omar Richard. It's coming from Nottingham Forest. Maybe he's not Omar Richard with Cam, is his brother or his uncle, because he's almost he's almost nothing in the field. So if they are good players, Diogo Nascimento is a good player. I saw several games when he plays in Gil Vicente here in Portugal. So he's a very good player. I think you will have the team. If he's only someone to be one more player to fill the 28 list, well, it's not interesting.
At least he's Portuguese.
At least he's a Portuguese guy. Because
there you go.
Believe us, Rio Ave is the other teams in Portugal as few Portuguese players, but now Rio Ave is the radical example. Now we have no Portuguese players in the team.
Well, I guess we'll have to see if that changes the rest of the summer. Am I safe in saying, kind of like to sum up our feelings right now, are we all cautiously optimistic about what's coming in the summer? Joao says no.
No.
Joao's not optimistic at all.
I am, because we've got all this Elliot Anderson money, and I think Sirianos has shown a good track record of spending it well. So I'm optimistic. We don't have European football, which is bad but good for. So yeah, I think I'm hopeful for next season. I think Joao made the right point about Lina Souloukou. That position needs replacing, because it could quickly descend into no one, no clear pathway and no clear thinking, which can bleed its way into getting bad results on the pitch as much as off it. So that does need addressing quickly. But yeah, I'm optimistic.
I only talk in the presence of my lawyer.
On that note, guys, before I let everybody go here, I just want to get on the record. Now that the knockouts have officially started with Canada beating South Africa in the World Cup, who do we think is going to win the World Cup?
Not England.
And not Portugal.
France look great, don't they? France or Spain. People here are really struggling. We discussed this on our podcast this morning. We're really struggling to get into it. Maybe it's the time zone. There's too many teams in the tournament. It feels a bit like it only really starts now. But yeah, England look sometimes very good and a lot of the time not very good. So I'm not unfortunately not backing them. So I'll say France or Spain.
At this moment, at this exactly moment, I will say Portugal.
Of course.
Nice.
I expected you to say Portugal. I expected Matt to say it's coming home. You're the first British guy I've talked to that has not said it's coming home. So I like the Dutch.
Every British person you've talked to hasn't watched the games then.
Yeah.
You saw any game, Eric?
I've seen all of them. I like the Dutch. I think the Dutch are going to do it.
But at the stadium, you have the privilege to
it's been, I don't know if you've seen, I mean, the day of the games, the tickets have been dropping, but I mean, for those that aren't aware, I guess most of the fans of Reich Duave and Forest Focus, my daughter was just born not even a month ago. So she was born literally like before the World Cup started. I have no time to make it out there. My wife she almost bought me tickets to go to Philly to see Ivory Coast. I think it was Ivory Coast, Curacao, or Ivory Coast, whatever game Ivory Coast was playing in Philadelphia. And I was like, no, it's not worth it. I'm not paying $350 for a ticket to see, a game that's like, it's just not, the prices are ridiculous. So, but that's just me. Anyway, guys, thank you again so much for joining us. Like we said, it's still not July yet. I think July will have a lot more to talk about on the transfer front, but thank you everybody for joining me. Joao, Matt, again, everybody, you can follow Joao at Reich Duave on Facebook. That's where they discuss everything related to Rio Ave and what goes on in Ville du Conde. Matt, Forest Focus, you can check him out at Forest Focus. He's on every social media platform pretty much. And of course, his YouTube channel here as well. So check him out there. We are 307 International, and you can check out what's going on for every team in the group. Great coverage from all of these channels. Boys, any other things any other projects going on that anybody should know about?
No, nothing for me this time. No.
Thank you.
All right. Well, until next time, everybody, this is the latest edition of the Marinakis Football Group Roundtable, and we'll be back in July when hopefully the action really gets started on the transfer front. So take care, everybody, and have a great week.